back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. For today, it is part 2 of NWA Saturday Night on TBS from April the 14th, 1990. If you recall, this episode was 3 hours long, and we made an executive decision because we are the head people in charge around here and said, you know what, brah? We're breaking this down into 2 episodes because it was so damn long. I am sitting here with Doc and not Hardbody Harper, as you heard on last week's episode at the beginning of it, although Harper was on with us during that episode because it was recorded before Hurricane Ida. He is not with us tonight due to Hurricane Ida and the lack of power and whatnot. But as we said last week at the beginning of the show, Harper is doing okay. His 6th headset is not doing okay. We can talk about that more in a second. Doc, how are you?
In hindsight, I feel like we treated this episode like children. I feel like, you know, when you're a kid, you're like, can we do our homework? We should do all our homework on Monday night and get it all out of the way. And we were like, nah, bro, let's spread that shit out and spread the pain out over multiple weeks. We should have just ripped the Band-Aid off last week and done all 3 hours, taking a big old meaty shit on it and moved on with our lives.
No, you can kiss my ass. I wasn't doing nothing. I was not doing that.
Bro, that might have been either the first or second lowest like aggregate average score across the 3 of us, where we all agreed we took big old meaty dumps on that episode. We'll have to see how it turns out tonight. I guess everybody will have to stay tuned. Now, let's not bury the lead in your open. Now, I'm trying to think. I don't want to make light of the hurricane. So did the hurricane get the headset? What's going on with this headset?
I was on the phone the day the hurricane is blowing through. I mean, Harper is about to get the worst of the hurricane. I mean, that's when this discussion was being had.
Bro, they showed it rolling. They showed it rolling right west of Metairie, and I was like, "Oh Lord."
Well, yeah, because it cut through Laplace and all that. But Harper, I don't know if I must have been texting him because he had lost power earlier. He had told me, he said power went out. Power went out in the morning. And I said, look, man, y'all need to really hunker down. I don't know what you can see from your phone or what kind of reception you got, but the next probably 2 to 3 hours, y'all are about to get the worst of it based on where that eye is hot,
and she's about to start shooting on y'all. That's, yeah.
So he called me, and he was like, he had reception, I guess, and still had some juice in the phone. He's like, yeah, what's going on now? I said, I'm looking at it right now. I'll send you a screenshot. You can see where the eye is, because he had no TV, and I guess he wasn't able to stream on his phone or whatever to see any of the local news. He could get radio stations, but that was it. But he couldn't see it. And during the course of that conversation, well, his dog had to take a dump in the middle of the hurricane, and she wouldn't go out. There's twigs snapping. Hold on. There's twig. Yeah, I'm about to tell you. No, there's twigs snapping. There's trees snapping. You can hear it in the background as this is happening. Well, Harper says, hold on. His girl picks up the phone, and she starts talking to me, and she's like, yeah, he went to take the dog outside. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, there are 70-mile-per-hour winds, and Harper is outside with Lassie, trying to get Lassie to take a dump.
The last we heard of this dog has the squirts.
The squirts, right. The squirts were gone from what I understand. I don't know what she had, if she got a bug or something, whatever. In the course of Harper making sure the dog took a dumperoo, his girlfriend tells me, yeah, Mike, he broke another headset. I'm like, so, I'm first thought is.
So she's read in on, because most people, out, in the straight world, our wives would have been like, they broke a headset, but she went straight to another headset. So she's smart to the business as well.
Yeah. So I'm like, first I think it's a rib. And then she's like, no, I'm dead serious. I bought him another headset. I was like, why'd you buy him another headset? She's like, I just went ahead and bought him. I don't want you continuously spending money on headsets. I was like, whoa, wait. How'd this headset break? He thinks he stepped on it again. I said, what? Yeah, he thinks he stepped on it again. Why are they being
stored on the floor?
I was like, so they were on the floor again? Yeah, apparently. So again, as a wrestling fan like we are, I'm still like thinking, okay, this must be a rib. There's no way he stepped on another headset.
You think he's got like a collection at home, like just nails in the wall and like 5 or 6 pristine headsets?
Hanging on the wall.
Now, while he's wearing his and doing his dirty business with his girl, she's wearing one too.
Possibly. Well, we continue talking, and she says, "Look, don't worry about it. I ordered one. He'll have it whenever y'all record again. I went ahead and just paid for it." I'm like, "Well, you didn't have to do that. I could have provided a new one." And she's like, "Well, no, it probably makes for good material on the show. Even though he stepped on it, you can tell the people he tried to shove it up my ass again or something. Who knows?"
Oh, no. Lady Harper's a dirty, filthy one.
So here's the thing. Harper never hears this because he's outside with the dog. So he still doesn't know this conversation was had with she and I unless she told him when he came in.
Right now, Jaworski is pants down, just strutting his fucking little 3-inch dick. What is wrong?
He's got that 3-inch Vienna sausage cranking away. On that note, I do want to mention, as we're talking about Harper real quick in the storm, and I truthfully, I have no idea when Harper's going to be back on the show just based on the conditions down there. I mean, there are people saying a month before the entire city has electricity, but there were reports recently today that there were small pockets of New Orleans East that did have some electricity, very, very small pockets. But before the whole...
You told me that he's got a generator. Why can't he just plug that laptop into the generator and make money?
He doesn't have a generator. He is by someone's house that has one. And from what I gather, there are a lot of people there. So I don't know if it would be a pain. And frankly, I don't think he could pull it off and whatnot at this point. But I wanted to mention there were a bunch of people that checked on Harper. I didn't tell you this. I was waiting to tell you on the show. Father James Mitchell, a.k.a. Darrell Van Horn, sent me a message to check on all of us. I think Mr. Van Horn, I think he misunderstands that you and I live in Texas. I now live in Texas and have so for years. I think he thought Harper and I still were there. I said, no, Harper's there, but he's good. He made it through fine. So he checked. A bunch of other people. I know Rich Richardson. I got messages from him. Brother Dave over in Australia. He checked on everybody. And I'm just naming just a few. Michael Angel. Lots of people checking in to see if,
hey, I got to tell you something, man. We had it on the Weather Channel. They're working over there, but that's a different story. And even little Latrell was like, I mean, I don't know Harper, but he's your friend. I'm worried about him.
Yeah, a lot of people checked in, and I appreciate it. I couldn't reply to all of them, but we did make the announcement on last show.
When Harper goes, it ain't going to be something stupid like a hurricane. It's going to be something stupid like fighting ducks with a squeegee on the side of the road or something. It's got to be an epic tale.
Tale.
Right.
Yeah. Oh boy. But anyway, that's I wanted to mention that.
Well, we're all happy that Harper made it through. We know not everybody was as lucky, and we're going to throw out some T's and P's down to the Gulf Coast, I guess.
You guess,
right?
No, we are T's and P's.
Okay, T's and P's.
Yes.
T's and P's.
All right, what you got? What I know you might have some flips and dice.
Before we get into anything we're going to talk about one of the craziest stories that you and I have run across in quite some time. Before we do that, do we need to get any business out of the way? Do we need to talk about any fine listeners or anything?
Yeah, I was trying to remember how long Harper had that new headset. I think it's only been like a month and a half. 2 months.
It's a couple months.
At most 2 months. Yeah, we got some new listeners or new Patreon members out there. Chuck Saltern, new annual patron. Thank you, Chuck, for signing up and going annual, and you're getting that month for free by doing so. Shane Manzi, new BTT Hall of Fame annual patron as well, gets a month for free there. And remember, if you want to become a patron, or if you feel generous enough to support this show, go to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That's tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT to access all of our Patreon shows. And not only that, we are listener supported 100%. As you know, there are no ads on this show. We talk about stupid stuff like Harper shoving headsets where they shouldn't be and stepping on them and breaking them. But at the end of the day, we're listener supported and are completely dependent upon your generosity to keep this show free and on air. So it's tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT, and your support's appreciated.
I feel like we're not too far from having Lady Harper on the air. We got to see what's going on there.
I'll let him answer that whenever he returns to this show.
Okay. Now
remember, a lot of the BTT Army, the ones who went to Wildcat X-Rated, they actually got to meet Mrs. Harper.
Look, there was like 12 people there at that. We got thousands of listeners, and I'm not exaggerating. So the Army hasn't seen or heard from her. Now, what I do think the Army is probably all doing is exactly what I did, is when you think about a headset on the floor, and that just level of disregard for personal property, you got to start thinking about what else that room looks like.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, see, when he was still living by himself, it may have looked much worse. But
right,
you know.
But if you're living with a girl that's gonna make jokes about things going in her ass, you never know. I mean,
I'm trying to remember. She doesn't listen to the show. That must have been referenced at BTT Wildcat, the meetup. Like, we must have been talking about it, and that's when she got caught wind of it, and that's why she said that.
All right. Well, so this week, to be fair, both of us are kind of, I think, laying low right now while we're ready for the football seasons to spark up, because that really does get you and I in front of news and sports news and everything that's going on in the world a little bit more than we've been. So I feel like both of us have been taking a little bit of time to just kind of lay in the silence. But you stumbled across a news story this week that in the sports world that is really beyond remarkable for 2021 and just really amazing for any time period. Why don't you tell the people explain it like you explained it to me the other day, and then we can start chopping this bullshit up.
So when I started talking to you about it, I didn't have all the details, and I still don't have all the details.
Does anyone?
but so I didn't see this, and this is kind of unusual, but I did have a busy weekend when this was on TV that I didn't catch wind of this, either flipping through the channels or whatnot. Because usually I'll flip on ESPN just kind of see what's on. But I didn't do that this past weekend when this happened. So I caught wind of this Bishop Sycamore thing a couple days ago, and I sent you a message about it saying, hey, you hear about this Bishop Sycamore and them pulling one over on ESPN, and you were clueless on it, which, I mean, I was too up until that point.
Hey, the past weekend you had a lot of hurricane watching, and you have family down there. You're paying attention to that. I got soccer, and even I was paying attention to hurricane. Our attention was diverted elsewhere, and this snuck up on us.
Needless to say, I also had a kid that we thought had COVID but didn't. He tested negative, although he had a fever for 5 straight days and no other symptoms. But that's a whole other topic. I don't want to get into it because this show will be on YouTube, and I'm not trying to get into that topic here because it's a YouTube episode as well. So we call into this Bishop Sycamore thing, and all I want to say is, while you're hearing us talk about this, just Google Bishop Sycamore and just see what comes up. So I send Doc a note about this Bishop Sycamore thing and say, hey, man, have you been catching up with this? Supposedly this, I'm going to call it a high school, but they're not really a high school. They're a bunch of junior college dropouts from what I gathered. And the head coach was wanted for some crime. I can't remember which one it was, so I don't want to misstate anything here. I want to be fair there. Anyway, Bishop Sycamore played a game against IMG Academy on ESPN. And the thing about this school is, from what we gather, it's not a school. And
so hold on. That needs processing, because ESPN aired a game, and they usually only air high quality big matchups with a high school that's a high school and something that we can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, so basically this, I'm using this term loosely, Ohio school, came under fire after it basically duped a marketing agency into putting it into one of these spotlight games for high schools on ESPN, and they were going to play against IMG Academy. Now, there's a marketing group. The marketing group allegedly is called Paragon Marketing Group, that does the scheduling for these ESPN high school football kickoffs. They do this every year. I've seen it for a few years now. I don't know if Paragon has been a part of it for all these years, but they do this every single year. And they put together this. Now, Paragon, I believe, admitted to not doing their due diligence on this quote unquote Bishop Sycamore school. And Bishop Sycamore slid through the cracks and was on a nationally televised game against IMG Academy, which is a high profile school and major football program amongst high schools.
So my first thought right there is, so you're telling me that ESPN basically let some high school kids play against who knows who?
Yeah, because that's the thing. The one thing I haven't seen, and it may have come out by now by the time this airs, is we don't have a clue who these kids and athletes are. Now, it's important to note that they got the crap beat out of them by IMG.
And what's even more important is, as it was happening, the announcer started acknowledging it in the middle of it.
Yes.
What corporation do you know admits a fault ever? And especially while it's still going on, they got to wait till the travesty is over so they can whitewash it.
Yeah, the commentators for this game are pretty much, I'm gonna use a wrestling term, they're breaking kayfabe on air. Like,
for real.
What? Like, one of the guys is like, we tried to do our research. We have no idea who these people are. They supposedly had athletes who were being recruited by, the Alabamas of the world, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, but none of these folks we have information on. And they're going on and on and on about that. And the other guy that's commentating is like, this game really should stop, because it's like 20-0 by this point. There's like half of the second quarter to go. So IMG Academy just drubs them. And Doc, I just happened to look something up while I was talking to you. Would you believe Bishop Sycamore has a Twitter account? And 19 minutes ago, as of us recording this, they tweeted, seeking an opponent for week 8, Friday, October 8th. DM us.
Man, they're like the dude that just got out of the pen that's rolled down to the playground and said, "I got next." Come on. So a couple of things here.
Nothing about you says computer or technology, Bishop Sycamore. Go ahead.
They are not listed in the Ohio Department of Education as a charter school. It was listed as a non-chartered, non-tax supported school last year. The school chose to be non-chartered. Boy, and if this ain't wrestling, there ain't nothing that ever is. The school chose to be non-chartered due to truly held religious beliefs.
Oh, my God.
They do not have an exact address listed. They only have a P.O. box. And their website has a nondescript picture of a football player. Their staff and About Us on their website are blank.
Okay, that's tremendous. Do you want to hear some more from this Twitter feed? These fools retweeted Joel the Troll Embiid, and this looks like actually Joel Embiid, who said, "From my own experience, y'all have no idea how much this media makes up stuff for followers, and shame on you for believing them." They felt the need to retweet that.
Well, apparently I'm reading here on Yahoo Sports, they fired their head coach yesterday.
And I read, and I'm going to say all this allegedly because, none of this stuff's confirmed. Doc and I are just reading reports that we're seeing online about this and what ESPN has said. Allegedly, he had a warrant or something for something. I'm not sure what it was.
They let God knows who face high school kids on national TV. If something went wrong, if one of them turned into Ron Fuller and wanted to body slam Artist Gilmore on national TV or pull out a knife and stab a kid, I mean, the negligence. I don't care about the score. I don't care about anything else. The negligence there tells me that somebody is liable for something. I'm just saying this. I mean, this is akin to basically. I mean, shit, Mike. This is like if I showed up at Raw and said, "Y'all know Altar Boy Luke Hawks. Yeah, he knows me. He sent me down here to work." And the next thing you know, I'm in the ring against whomever.
I mean, that's basically what it is. Even worse, it'd be like getting you a spot on Raw and you've never taken a bump. And it's like, dude, what's Doc doing on Raw tonight? Well,
Right.
Altar Boy Luke put in a call because he knew some folks there. And they're like, dude, who are you sending us? This guy's got no credentials.
He's like, Brad, I didn't send you nobody. I don't even know. Yo. I don't know.
Yeah. This is a tremendous. I now by the time this airs, of course, this probably has taken on another life of its own.
Well, here's the other thing. This team was supposed to play. They're supposedly from Ohio. They were supposed to play one of the teams from where we live.
I did see that last night, and one of the teams
team down here said nah, brah, and pulled out.
Yeah, they pulled out. I just think this is tremendous. If you go to, providing this Twitter account is still available by the time this airs, because Lord knows if it got shut down. But at Bishop Football, and if I'm being trolled, they're good. It literally says 24 minutes ago, seeking an opponent for Week 8, Friday, October 8th. DM us. They also are seeking an opponent for Week 5, September 17th. DM them. Tremendous.
Man, what we ought to do is get together some BTT ballers and ball out with them.
I'm tempted to say, hey, bro, you want to do an interview on our show?
We could get 11 people to show up. BTT.
We easily, but I don't know.
Hey, we don't got pads, but we'll play flag. How about that?
I think they want to play tackle. This is it's a tremendous story. Again, Google it. Lord knows where the story's going to be by the time this all unfolds.
The fact that this kind of shit could happen in 2021 is mind-boggling to me.
That's the thing that's mind-boggling. That is the thing that you and I agreed on. I told my wife about that. It was like, because she asked me about it, and she's like, how does that happen in 2021? I'm like, you got me. And not only how does it happen, how does it happen to a company like ESPN?
Have you seen that trash app they've been rolling with for the past 5 years?
Well, the app is garbage for the last 5 years, but you do have to say a company owned by Disney. I mean, it's like, again, I agree with you, but at the same time, how does that happen? This is phenomenal. This is a tremendous story how they wiggled their way into ESPN, and they're still tweeting looking for opponents. This would have been
phenomenal in 1991.
So it's even more incredible in 2021.
Exactly. With the ability to do research and vet things and just mind-boggling. We're going to have to keep an eye on this as it moves forward because they don't seem to have much remorse for what they've done thus far.
No, they're looking for more opponents and telling people don't believe the media.
If I'm the team that went and played, and yeah, we won 58-0, I'm looking at our AD and what was he doing during all this?
I don't know, this feels like a money grab for some people who shouldn't be doing a money grab, but it's all allegedly. I don't know.
That's the biggest problem is there's too much money in high school sports, and you don't need to be playing cross states. Stay in your area where you know the schools and just play in your neighborhood.
No, you can't say that now. Everything is commercialized.
I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Well, you can say whatever you want, but that's not how it works. That's not how capitalism and money
and that's
works,
how,
okay?
And that, well, maybe we should seize the means of the schedule. You know what I mean?
Okay, Karl Marx. Anyway, yeah, no. That's not how it works, man. These schools.
High school kids do not need to be traveling across 3 straight states.
Will you listen to me for a second? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
They need to have their nose in these books.
Okay.
And maybe somewhere else that, but we'll.
That ain't how capitalism works. All right?
Right.
What's happening is there are these big time schools. They can't find good competition where they're at. Thus, they got to play other big time schools in other states. That's how it works. And guess what? There's always a money trail because you got to track the money. And guess what? There's people getting paid a lot of money to do these showcase games. That's the other part. They literally worked and got on ESPN. And I want to know where they sent ESPN or whoever sent the check to for these guys. Because you know they got a check. They got a check. Who was the check made out to? Anyway, all right. Any more on Bishop Sycamore?
We're going to have to keep an eye on this. I encourage you all for a giggle to like Mike said, Google it. I guess we'll see where this goes.
I'm dying right here as I look at this screen. They are looking for opponents for 3 weeks from now. I mean,
yo, can we get a game?
Dude,
I mean, that's what the youth soccer teams do. I mean, they'll just post on this message board that we're on. Hey, does anybody want to scrimmage this weekend? We got a field. That's also, what this feels like.
Yeah, but that's not on ESPN either. So, okay, what else we got, Doc? Before we get into part 2 of April 14th,
I think it's time to rip the Band-Aid and do this.
All right, well, I'm starting a video version of this week's show, April 14th, 1990. Remember, this is part 2, if anybody was confused last week. I know it's hard to follow when Doc explains things, but we did the first half of April 14th, 1990, and now we're doing the second half. And there's not a ton in the second.
Along at home, we should be kicking in at about, what, an hour and 13 minutes?
Yeah, right about that, because we left off with Joel Deaton hanging Tommy Wildfire Rich, man. How dare he do such a thing? I mean, come on, man. Why would you do that to the greatest NWA world champion of all time?
Why did you have to start Jaworski in right when it happened?
Don't know what you're talking about, but okay. All right, so I've got the video version going. The first match, well, I would say the first match.
Are you going to share your screen?
I'm not sharing right now. I thought I clicked on that. Hold on. Let's I really need a producer to do all this stuff in the background while I'm.
That's why we have you.
Right. Okay. Can you see my screen now, sir?
Well, here's the thing. We could sell ads and have a producer.
I tell you what, man, if somebody came to me with the right offer, I would certainly entertain it.
Sell out. I know, you're a sellout.
It would have to be the right amount of money. Harper and I
forever.
Right. Harper and I had a discussion about that, and I told him something that somebody offered me. He was like, "Oh, hell no." And here's the thing. I won't say the company that there's been a few, but won't say the company that reached out to me, but I mentioned to Harper the type of money that would be given to the show for this ad, a couple companies. And Harper's response was, "Yeah, hell no." And I said, "Harper, for that little bit of money, it's going to go sideways for us because you and Doc would be like, that's not enough. And then what y'all are going to do, because y'all are just goofy, hateful bastards, y'all are going to start cutting promos because you're like, this ain't worth it. And then y'all will be making fun of the ad, of the companies.
Watch us get fired on the air.
And I would have to tolerate and do damage control after the fact, and it would turn into a big rib on me. Thus, we're not entertaining that.
And 15% what would happen.
It's exactly what would happen. 100%.
There's no ifs, buts, maybes, ands about it. Harper would cut a promo just cause, and they wouldn't send me my free samples, and I'd get mad and start cutting promos, and that's what would happen.
Yeah, and again, I'd be doing damage control and apologizing for whatever.
It's just not worth it.
No, exactly, unless it's big money.
It might be worth it, but it isn't worth it yet.
Well, it would be funny. The listeners would get a kick out of it. They really would. But, Anyway, we don't have a large legal department here, so I don't want to cross that threshold because that's the last thing I want is somebody, taking legal action because you all buried a product on there.
It's true that Harper and I sometimes don't know how to act.
Childish, but, it comes with the territory on BTT. Which is what I love about you all and our audience because you generally don't take things too seriously most of the time. All right, let's go, Doc. We're in the first match of the second half of this episode from April 14th. It is the Z-Man against Sweet Stan Lane. Corny mentions on commentary as Stanfield is coming out to the ring. Back up from the TV set and don't drool on it, because you know if you do, you might electrocute yourself. This match, Z-Man, I'll say this. He's got the moves. He knows how to wrestle. We've said it 100 times. But there is no sizzle to the steak, as Harper says, and there is no personality, and I've got no vested interest in his matches as much as I love Sweet Stan Lane. This match, Doc, your thoughts. Not Sweet Stan's fault, that's for damn sure.
I popped at the beginning when Bobby Eaton rolls out there with his water bottle. I mean, he's taking this shit seriously. He is here to do his job.
I'm glad you said that, because we do need to point out that Stan and Bobby and Corny on commentary are working their tails off. They're there to earn their paycheck. It's just I can't invest in Z-Man. I can't do it, man. It's just not there. And Chris Zaha, I love you, and I know you were a Z-Man fan, but he just doesn't do it for us. Just doesn't.
He just doesn't. But Bobby was great because he's filling, and this is his big chance to manage.
Right.
Stan is great in the match because he's Stan.
Watch, Bobby on the outside.
Well, can you go back real quick to 122.04? Because I need to see it.
122.04. Yeah, hold on. I wanted to say, as I'm going back to it, one thing about Bobby on the outside is
here it is.
The dick dancing. Bobby on the outside is hilarious. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Stan's flexing. Here it comes. Fake Stan Lane is popping right now.
That's the joy that we all need in our lives today.
I wanted to say one thing about Bobby. You talking about how Bobby's out there managing. Bobby is doing a great job of when Stan gets beat down or things are happening to Stan that he doesn't want to happen. Bobby's reactions on the outside are exactly as you want the manager reaction to be. He's basically emphasizing the pain that his partner's going through, and he's further selling. A good manager does that. A good manager sells when their guy is not doing well. If you ever watch Bobby Heenan or Cornette, Bobby Heenan was great at it actually. Go watch Heenan when his guy is struggling, and the grimace on his face and the hands on the head and how he looks. Paulie does a great job of it too.
Leader in that role. I mean, he's just not going to be as good as Bobby.
Yeah, Pillman comes out because obviously he's Z-Man's partner. Doc, on that note, any other timestamps that you had from it?
Not a timestamp, but later when he chokes Z-Man with a towel, man, Bobby learned from Corny. He lifts that towel up in the air so the whole arena can see it.
That's exactly how you do it, too. So
let me
Z-Man...
show you what I'm about to do, and then you can't see it. And then we had a crazy finish, and I was kind of all right with it, I think.
I was, too. I mean... They're tag teams that are feuding, so, this is a singles match with two guys in the team. So Z-Man, he's going to get Stan in the sleeper right here if you're watching on our Patreon video. But Bobby realizes Stan is about to lose, so Bobby Eaton's like, well, I can't have Stan lose. So Eaton comes in and knees Z-Man in the back, but then Pillman, who worked his way to ringside as well, much earlier, Pillman comes in and the crowd is going nuts. And let me tell you, Pillman's on fire, and that was the biggest reaction of the match, I think, just from Pillman because people love Pillman so much and he's got a load of charisma. But things break down. Corny waddles to ringside. That's not my words. That's JR on commentary. He says, Cornette's waddling down the ringside, and Corny waddles down the ringside with his racket, and Z-Man actually ends up with Corny's racket because the racket went flying in the air. Z-Man decides to have some batting practice with the Midnight Express, Bobby and Stan. Corny and the Midnight, they get the hell out of there. For what it's worth, it's not a terrible match. The crowd is into the finish, even though it was, DQ, and the babyfaces won. The crowd is into it, but it's more, I give more credit to guys like Bobby and Stan and Pillman than Z-Man. And
of course.
Not trying to be mean, but it is what it is. It's just
and this match wasn't Starcade quality, but if it had been on the first half, it would have helped the rating a little bit.
Would have helped a great deal because this was better than I don't want to say anything we saw on the last episode because Teddy Long was goddamn funny with what he said, but I agree. Okay, so then we go to the next segment, and let me rewind this a little bit. I wanted to get what Corny does. So Jim Cornette is about to interview Flair and Woman. So I'm going to play the first, let's say, minute of it, and then some music starts. So I have to tone it down, and then we'll go back to it. But here's Cornette about to interview Ric Flair and Woman.
Well, tonight, my special guests are going to be the greatest, the #1 couple in America today. I'm not talking about Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. I'm not talking about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. I'm not even talking about Princess Charles and Lady Diana. I am talking about none other than the 6-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and Woman.
So Flair is about to come in, and of course the boos rain down. I wanted to play that real quick, and then let me fast forward now to the good part when we actually get to hear Flair and Woman after they make their way. So I got them queued up and just waiting for the music to stop, and here we go.
And Champ, I'm glad you took the time out of your busy schedule to come out here tonight and try to show what class looks like to all these rednecks out here. And I want to just say to you, you know, Lex Luger had the audacity to be coming out here the past few weeks and claiming he's going to be the world heavyweight champion. I know you, Rick. You're never going to relinquish that belt.
Well, let me just say one thing about Lex Luger. He has promised the wrestling world. He has promised the public. He has told me. He has even whispered to Woman that if he gets me in the ring, world title on the line, no interference, maybe even a cage, that he'll be the next world champion. He forgets one thing, and that is that Luger, to be the man, you have to beat the man. Right, Lord Jim?
Oh, Champ, I tell you what, Lex Luger, he doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. That's why he has got to blame all these outside activities like Woman, like Ole Anderson. He's got to make excuses. Wait a minute, what's going on? Oh, look at this. Hey. Wait a minute now. Hey, did you come to ask Ric Flair how to wrestle or to see if Woman's got a good-looking friend?
First of all, do you have insurance?
Do I have insurance? Yeah, I got insurance. Why?
Because if you open your trap one more time, you're going to need a hell of a lot of insurance. And Nature Boy, the only reason I don't break you in half right now, because the world title's not in the line, and I ain't letting you off that easy. You know, Luger, the last time you got in the ring with me in front of my public, the only thing that kept you alive was the fact that 5 people were holding you down. But if you get in my face today with Woman here, I'm going to kick your ass. You understand that? Think about it, Lex Luger, baby. We're out of here.
See you later.
Hey, wait a second, I'm not through with you. Okay?
Wait a minute, here comes Ole Anderson. Flair using Woman as a shield. Ole Anderson trying to sneak attack on Luger. Now Flair, those chops are not effective on the big total package. Flair up in the air. The U.S. champion and #1 contender just nails Ole. Here comes Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson has Woman's shoe. And Anderson from behind. Arn Anderson. And now the Horseman taking over on Lex Luger. It seems as if Flair...
So a lot goes down there, Doc. Well, I just realized it. What's this? We'll talk about this in a second. What's the score of the Cowboy game? I forgot. It's on right now, and I'm trying to tune in to my tablet right here to check the score.
Well,
this opening night in the NFL.
This is the big kickoff night. I didn't want to bring everybody. I didn't want to ruin everybody's night because I know most people out there aren't Cowboy fans, but it's looking pretty good so far. I don't want to say too much. All I got to say is looks like Jerry got Ezekiel Elliott a stable of.
Wow.
And Dak looks healthy.
Wow. Seriously? Really?
Well,
you're serious, huh?
What?
Unbelievable. The stuff you say on this show.
The stuff that has to be said.
The stuff you say on this show. Okay, back to the wrestling.
Fake outrage.
I
bet you're a star on social media with that bullshit.
Okay. You didn't give a score. I guess the Cowboys are trailing right now as we
No. But let me tell you, Brady looks slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Luger and Flair and Woman. What'd you think about that right there in that segment promo as we lead up to confrontation with those two?
I thought that was really good. Really, really good. The only question I had is why is Ole coming out first? Wouldn't Arn be the first one down the aisle because he's faster and younger? Small nit. They mentioned that Flair was a 6-time champion. Remember when that was like the best thing in the world? Like, holy shit, he's a 6-time champion.
Yeah, now people win them 18, 19. I think Charlotte's on like Reign 10 or some shit. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I have no idea. I shouldn't say that because I really don't know. But yeah, I mean, that was something like, 6-time world heavyweight champion. It's kind of crazy. I had a note. So you see Luger and Flair, they're not nose to nose, but they're standing across from each other. Flair's not a short dude. Look at Lex, man. He's got stature. He's a big dude, knows what he's doing. It's just interesting when you see them standing next to each other like that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I thought also you have, for him anyway, Casual Rick. He must have a barbecue to go to later.
Yes.
Woman is all the way live.
As always. You heard it on the promo at the end. One of the things I did, the beatdown of Luger, and then eventually I think Eddie Gilbert and Mike Rotunda come out to chase off the Horsemen. I did like how Flair, he hides behind Woman. I thought that was tremendous. That was superb heel work.
101.
Exactly.
He's cussing. He cussed at him on a hot live mic, so he was going to kick his ass. I mean, there's children present, for God's sakes.
Yep. What
you
else?
Got the classic Horseman beatdown. And is there anything better than when Arn grabs the top rope and cocks that right leg before he delivers that first boot?
It's a work, but it's looks so good. Like the way he does it, it's just Arn. He's just so smooth. One of the greatest ever. So I concur.
So this was great, and the crowd loved it, and
I mean,
everybody's doing what they ought to be doing. How about
that? And that's the thing about this episode. We were really down on the first half of it, but as you can see now, we've had some good stuff with the match with Z-Man and Stan and everything that happened with those teams, and then we go to this. So they backloaded this episode with some better stuff than we saw in the first half, for damn sure. All right, any other thoughts before we keep moving?
I mean, they got to do things like this because this is now going on for a while, and it's going to, until we hear otherwise, this is the matchup.
Absolutely. So we go to commercial, and the back half of this episode actually has all the original commercials. I think there was Twix, NBA Power Pass. There was a Compound W wart remover remedy. No comment on that. Tone soap. There was a Jeep commercial, and they showed that a brand new Jeep Cherokee, the MSRP at that time in 1990 was $15,663. If you adjust that for inflation, that meant that vehicle was $32,959 in 2021 money as we stand today. I wanted to point that out as we talk about prices. So literally like more than double. Then when we come back from the commercial, JR mentions he's got some thoughts and he shares, basically what he thought happened there with Luger and the Horsemen. I didn't have any real notes from it, Doc. It was kind of short. Did you have anything from JR? He's just kind of recapping.
No, I didn't have anything there.
All right. So then we go to the next thing, and I know we can't help ourselves on this. The Rock and Roll Express are going to cut a promo, and it's followed by the Freebirds. Let me go to that audio.
Well, let me just tell you, if you're watching the video version, keep up with, Morton is talking to you, but if you watch in the background, so is Gibson.
Gibson's talking to you, but I got some other thoughts on that as well. Let's go to it now.
We will show you that big 2 out of 3 fall match. We're going to have it for you live here in just a moment or two. But right now, let's hear these pre-recorded comments just moments ago from the competitors, the Birds and the Rock and Roll Express.
Hey, Freebirds, brother and I, we're real excited because right here in just a few minutes, we're going to see who just is a real rock and roll team. Let me tell you something. You go ahead and tell everybody that y'all are, we think we are. Let me tell you, right here, we're going to find out.
That's right. You know Michael Hayes and Jimmy James. You come out here and tell the whole world that the Rock and Roll Express copied you. That we come out here, brother, and put music with our team, but you did it first. Well, you see, that's passé, brother. We don't like to listen to it, and nobody else does. But we would tell you one thing. If you want to prove a point, baby, all you got to do is ask us. And we're going to find out, like Robert said, here today, it's not going to be a one-fall match, oh, man. Right here on TV, it's going to be 2 out of 3. So, Michael Hayes and Jimmy James, show us what you got. We have been around the world many, many times and held the world's tag team champions for 4 different occasions. And we're going to prove to you that we still are the tag team of the 80s, and we're coming here to kick honey in the 90s.
You know, P.S.,
Jesus
I
Christ.
know that you have to be as excited as I am because it's been a long time coming and my patience are wearing thin. The Rock and Roll Express and all of America are going to find out who the boss is.
Well, you know, some Continental Transatlantic came back here when you said, P.S., get back home. TBS, 3-hour special, and we got to find out who is really rock and roll. Come on, people, let's get real. They've got about as good a chance as a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest in just a couple minutes. Because I'm going to tell you something. We were born to rock, and we were born to stroll. We be looking FINE5 because we strut and stroll. And you get this straight. Ricky Punky Morton and Robert Hoot Gibson. Nobody, nowhere, no how. But you, Jim, yeah, let's go rock. I'm ready, baby.
I got some stuff, but I'm going to throw to you first. I want you to defend Michael Hayes now. Go ahead.
Garvin looks like a bearded tranny.
I'm not going to go there because I feel like that's an insult to trans people, to be frank.
Oh, whatever.
I really do. I mean, no, he looks ridiculous. He doesn't look like a bearded trans person.
What is Gibson doing? Good God.
Oh, with the sign language?
Yeah.
Well, the sign language is fine. My note is always Robert looking at the camera and looking.
Come on. See, that's an insult right there to people that got fucked up by vision.
Okay. I didn't mean it in that way. Look at Jimmy
that.
Gar. Look, what the. If you take that screenshot that we're looking at right now and told somebody.
Get his mouth closed.
Told somebody, hey, who's that? The eyeshadow is getting ridiculous, and it gets worse. That's the sad part. Okay.
It's a problem. This is a problem.
Big problem. It's terrible.
Where are they at? Is this a locker room? Is this a...
It's got to be because of the lights on the side. There's got to be a locker room. I mean, probably at this venue.
All right.
And Garvin's still putting eyeshadow on. And
He doesn't have enough.
We used to have conversations about, it felt like when you first started to hear in these wrestling interviews, Hoot and Punky, like it felt like, oh my God, you finally hear things like that. But this is like the fourth or fifth time I've heard one of their opponents in an interview mention, Ricky Punky Morton and Robert Hoot Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
You start to hear these things. You don't remember them as much, but then when you watch it over years' time, you're like, oh, a lot of people actually said that, and maybe we just weren't keen to it at the time. Now, I know you weren't really watching wrestling at this point, but because you had dipped out for a few years, but I don't know. I count a good 4 or 5 times where I feel like we've heard that said. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right, so we keep moving. We're about to go to the best 2 out of 3 falls, and we do see a scroll come across the screen, and the scroll meaning
why are the dynamic dudes still wrestling?
I have no idea, but this is WCW, so I wouldn't put any stock into what you're seeing as far as performers that are listed here, because you just really don't know what you're getting.
That's just a mere suggestion.
Mere suggestion is absolutely right, but I did want to focus in on something. So you'll notice here that they're going to Biloxi. So we're going down I-10 here, Mississippi Gulf Coast. We're then going, and you're like, all right, where are we going next? Oh, Baton Rouge. Wait, they skipped right past New Orleans because they're going west on I-10. And they kept going. They went straight to Beaumont on I-10. They skipped New Orleans. And then they went to San Antonio. So I found it interesting that they skipped right past, and then went to Houston.
Maybe they're going to get it after Houston on their way back to Atlanta.
Maybe so. Who knows? But it felt kind of disjointed. But anyway. And then we get a bunch of more TBS commercials.
Jack
the
Sigma
NBA.
needs to learn how to play better defense on the fast break. That's what I saw.
Who?
Jack Sigma. He was the center for Milwaukee there as Atlanta just went straight to the bucket.
There's an NBA commercial playing. And
remember Jim Burt?
I remember Jim Burt. He got busted for spraying silicone on his teammate's jersey in a San Francisco 49ers game, I believe. Not that they did him anything. It's on video. You can find it on YouTube. At least I saw it years ago. I don't remember when they taped it that time. But anyway, all right, we'll keep moving. So a bunch of other commercials, and then we finally get back to the wrestling, and we've got the 2 out of 3 falls match between the Freebirds and the RockNRoll. So the first match begins. It's key to point out, when they start this match, there's actually 44 minutes left in the actual episode. So we got
you want to know something about Jim
left.
Burt?
What's that?
You want to know something about Jim Burt?
Yeah, what is it?
Apparently, if you believe his Wikipedia page, he played high school football at Orchard Park High School with Lex Luger as a teammate.
If that's true, that's very interesting.
There you go. Because Lex Luger was in the commercial right after him.
I tell you what, man, you've been you're talking about like football, and you're about to get you a little stress reliever like Jaworski.
Well, we're about 2
coming.
hours from going one up in the win column here. Things are looking good.
I was going to tell you, we haven't talked much, but I've turned into a big Canadian Football League fan, in the NFL absence.
You're
and
desperate.
I do watch my fair share of Winnipeg Blue Bombers CFL football. That's my team in the CFL, if anybody was wondering. The Eye of Gibson and PN News Junior, they're Canadian.
They're out there doing 43-yard sprints for the 110-yard field.
Yeah, they're Canadian. So we've had a bunch of conversations with the two of them on social media. But
Can you give me 143.08?
Well, I was going to say before you interrupted me about Jim Burt and Lex Luger, I was going to say as I'm going back to you said 143.08?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going back to it. This is 142.50. This first fall lasts 2 to 3 minutes.
And this shit was dumb when they all get to the outside.
Uh-huh.
And now this looks like 4 dudes that just found out that there was only one 8-ball left up at the apartment, and they're all racing back up to see who could get it.
That could have been worse, what you were about to say. I thought you were going somewhere else. So anyway, they win.
What do you think those wrist bandanas on Gibson smell like? Weed or Badissi?
Both. And
there you go.
Does cocaine have a smell? I'm genuinely curious because I have no idea if it does.
I've watched a lot of people try to figure that out.
I mean, I know people snort it, but I'm like, if it has a smell, it probably smells like that too. But Gibson and Morton win the first fall, 2 to 3 minutes. They hit the Freebirds with a double drop kick, and they pin Garvin and Hayes simultaneously, so they're up 1-0. We then get a bunch of commercials, Oxy 10, Ruse, some kind of 80s and 90s aerobics BS video package that claimed you could get a body like former model Elle McPherson, Rachel Hunter, and Cheryl Teagues. This shit that they used to play like that should have been criminal because it really led you to believe. Let me rewind, and the patrons can see this nonsense of these aerobic videos. This is typical 80s, 90s bull crap where they would advertise these videos and say 20 minutes a day and you can have a body like this. No, you can't. You were sold. It's appropriate to put this on wrestling because you're being worked. You were sold aerobics videos, but you were not going to have a body like these women unless you seriously dieted. And even then, Margie from the Smoky Mountains cannot look like this. Doc, any thoughts on this aerobics video that claimed that could make you look like $1 million? These were top models back then, man.
Rachel Hunter is top shelf, bruh.
Elle McPherson, Rachel Hunter, and Cheryl Teagues, they were top shelf.
Those are names.
Then. Yeah. Promoting this like you're going to have a six-pack.
That's not Stacy with 2 E's from down at the stripping shack. These are real models.
These are real models.
This is just lies. DDP. This is just DDP for bitches.
Boy, that's nice, Doc. Anyway, well, they don't stop with the women because there's also a Nordic Track commercial, some kind of cross-country bull crap
You like that
gimmick.
company, don't you?
You know, we're recording right now. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. How does that sound?
This is why we can't have.
I mean, look
Come
at
on,
this.
Grandpa, pick it up, you old bastard.
What is that? Look at
little Timmy wants to kick the fucking soccer ball. Why don't you get your
this
ass together?
Stupid cross country machine that they're promoting.
That shit looks like it would snap and send you flying across the room.
This is so terrible, and they probably sold tons of them. Anyway. If anybody's got one of these things.
Let me take off my big glasses and tell you how I get in shape. I get buff and ripped.
Right. Anyway, so we keep moving. Doc, I'm going to assume you've got nothing else on these rather horrendous commercials with stuff that it's not going to get
I've got a commercial later.
Okay.
But as we come back into this match, can I get 155.50?
Boy, you went far. Hold on.
I quit giving a shit because I joined the crowd and stopped caring.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at 155.30 right here. You want to tell the people what we're looking for?
Look at that ball spot on Michael Hayes. No, I have no idea what I marked down here. Oh, I think it's because they started clapping and nobody clapped with them. So Hayes is trying to get the crowd going, and then Morton's going to try to get the crowd going, and the crowd doesn't give a shit. Watch.
There are a few people that clap. It's just not many.
But that ain't normal rock and roll.
Well, it's certainly not what you would see in 1986 and 87 in the Mid-Atlantic territory when JCP was running the shows there. I do agree. Well, so this... Oh, go ahead.
Now, we'll tell you that I thought it was a good DDT to finish the second fall.
Yeah, I thought so too. Gibson with a nice fall there to the floor. So the second fall, Corny is messing with JR a lot during this match because they got a lot of time to fill. Because, again, they started this thing with 44 minutes left, and the first fall spent 3 minutes. So you still got 20 minutes in there to fill in per the next 2 falls. So Corny's messing a lot with JR here. And Corny claims JR can't keep his eye on anything with the exception of Missy Hyatt. And JR says, well, I am a red-blooded American, basically not denying that he's got his eye on Missy. It wasn't creepy or anything, but it was just an interesting exchange. Corny says, well, let's cut you open and see how red-blooded you are, JR. These two are they're good together on commentary, and you know, they just are. They've got good chemistry. They know each other for years, so it makes sense. Now, fall number 2, I don't have the timestamp of exactly when it happens, but Hayes holds the ropes when he gets sent in for a double drop kick, and the Rock and Roll, you know, they take the bump because they go for the drop kick, but they take the bump, and then Hayes hits Morton with the DDT that Doc was talking about, and the Freebirds end up winning the second fall. Like I said, I don't have the exact timestamp for the second fall, but it did look good. The DDT. I think I went too far because it's before the commercial. Is this where you got comments on the commercial?
Yeah.
All right, here's a DDT coming up. Let's watch that. Did I miss it? Oh shit! Hold on, let me go back.
Come on.
Well, they were playing the replay, and I want the full effect. So here we go. Rock and Roll misses the double drop kick when Hayes grabs the rope, and then here comes the DDT. It was really good, and you can attribute that to Ricky Morton. The way he went over. Okay, so what are we looking for in this commercial?
205.
205. So
I
first,
can't read my writing of what this is.
So as we got Braves baseball, and then Three Musketeers, and then 7-Up. I know exactly what you're looking at. Hold on, let me get to it.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Yes, okay.
This
so
thing looks like an Eastern European sex toy.
So this thing is some bull crap blender called the Guarmatic.
Okay. That's what I wrote down. That's it. This thing looks like the fall of the Berlin Wall escaped this Eastern European sex toy that the Hilda and God.
They're showing them make whipped cream out of milk with this thing. They're showing them crush peanuts and make peanut butter.
That doesn't seem right.
It doesn't at all.
Can I? What was that?
Let me go back.
What are they doing with this thing? They're making mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Jesus Christ! Mayonnaise costs a jar.
Right. So here's the peanut butter.
Right there, the peanut butter can't be correct.
I don't. Okay. So what is that?
What are those?
Is that supposed to be like little oranges?
I thought they were lemons, and I was like, well, what about the rinds, fucko?
It says low-cal treat. Got to be oranges.
What is this? What did they just crush?
So that's supposed to be bread.
Right. So why are they pulverizing bread?
Ideal for bacon.
And who cooks and mixes in a damn Ziploc bag?
Local restaurant mayo. There's a mustard container to the right.
Nobody's ever heard. That's Eastern European mustard too. This shit came straight out of Czechoslovakia.
Coleman's mustard. Coleman with no E, just Colman mustard. There's a vinegar bottle.
Europeans don't know how to spell. The Czechs, they're behind this shit. It's easy to clean, but we're not showing it get cleaned.
There's no way this thing's easy to clean, by the way.
There's no way.
Give me 1 second, Doc. I'm trying to look up something here on the inflation calculator because I really want to know.
Dude, they are getting ready to rip people off for this thing. But that thing is, you put it in the dishwasher and nothing comes off of it. You're sitting there with the damn toothpick trying to pick the pieces of food out of it so that you can shove it in Wanda's twat later because it doubles as the sex toy.
Wow. Did you really just say that?
I said it. I'm here.
All right.
I'm here all night.
Why is it not? Okay, hold on.
Lamb, bro. CD Lamb.
Hold on. I'm trying to get the inflation calculator. CD Lamb scored or something? Okay.
Yeah, it's a ripoff then. I don't need an inflation calculator.
But I want to put it in here that way we can see what it would have cost. In today's money, because I believe that's an important part of this discussion here. All right. So this stuff, this thing, when they continue, whatever it is called, the Guarmatic, And it comes with a free recipe book. Free my ass. You'll see in a second.
That thing.
Oh, they
Look
just
at-
ground up coffee.
Yeah.
Guarmatic. Now, three
So now
payments. Doc, 3 payments of $19.95, right?
That's 59 for $59.85. This fucker can be yours.
So in today's money, that would equate
Let me
to
guess. $130.
$126.15. If you were to add up 1995
that
times
price
3 and then
better double as a sex toy. How about that?
$100 and almost $30 for this shit that somebody has sitting in a cabinet to this day.
Why does this mayonnaise taste like fish? Because it doubles as a sex toy.
Wow. Oh, don't forget the $7 shipping and handling. And you're going to wait 6 to 8 weeks for that some buck to arrive. No COD, cash on delivery, because why the hell would you want to pay 19? Oh, my God. This is terrible. 3 easy payments, my ass.
You're fleecing folks.
I wonder how many people got worked over that.
A lot.
All right. So that is
Yeah, you
the
got
commercial.
Grizzly Adams here. This is bullshit.
Yeah, there's some commercial called Mountain. I'm not commercial. There's some movie called Mountain Charlie that's going to be on TBS tomorrow. And look at a young Ernie Johnson advertising the Atlanta Hawks and Milwaukee Bucks here. Always good to see a young Ernie. Look at how young he was.
Mm.
All right, we go back to fall number 3 here. Now, let me go to it. Well, let me ask if you have what you have from this first before I go to fall number 3.
Nope. I'm done. I got tired.
You couldn't have got tired. This week's better than what we saw last.
My next note says, I like the finish.
Okay, so on to the finish. So Gibson makes the hot tag to Morton. Morton's on fire. You know, he's rocking and rolling. Rock and Roll Express. Morton gets thrown over the top rope, but the ref, Nick Patrick, he did not see Morton go over the top rope. So Morton and Hayes, it's key to point out, they are the legal participants. Morton comes back in and jumps on Hayes' shoulder and rolls over and pins Hayes. The Rock and Roll win the third fall, so they're 2-1 here. The Freebirds, though, attack them after the bell, and I don't know who that was, but Garvin took somebody's belt as they were running away. I assume that was part of the show in a plant, but I have no idea. So the Rock and Roll win, but as typically happens, the heels keep their heat. You said you liked the finish, Doc. What else you got from it?
That's it.
Wow, just made me do all the work there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the roll up. It almost looked.
Hey, our defense isn't that bad.
What's the score? What are the Cowboys up by at this point?
I don't want to get into specifics because this is not time stampable, but let's just say the defense looks better. The offense is restored, and Tampa Bay they're going to have a little tussle here this evening. The Cowboys are for real.
What's the Cowboys' record going to be? 17-0?
100%.
Oh, okay. Can you hit me one of those lines? 17-0 Super Bowl suck it like you did a couple years ago?
I don't think so. I got tired of listening to it.
Let me tell you
overplayed
something.
You overplayed it.
Do you realize how you hexed yourself? Because they were 3-0 going to New Orleans that week to play Teddy Bridgewater because Breeze was out. They lost that game. I believe they ended up going
Do you
8-8
know
or
how incredibly feeble-minded you sound? And if I had any power over how this all turned out, that I would never do anything. Come on, bro. You're better than that.
They went to New Orleans. They lost. They then lost the next. Let's see. They ended up losing 7 more games and only won like 4 more.
We lose 1 out of every 2 games for the last 25 years.
I'm just saying, y'all were 3-0, talking high and mighty, and y'all came down there and got some of that Cajun voodoo put on that ass, and y'all came back to Dallas with y'all tail between y'all legs, and y'all ain't done nothing. Well, y'all ain't did anything in 25 years, but y'all really didn't do anything since that season. I'm just saying.
This is the year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so back from commercial, we had a bunch of commercials here. National Geographic, Goodwill Games, all that good stuff.
So here's how I do this. I bet on the last commercial break that if we talked about the Guarmatic, there wouldn't be anything as egregious, and I could skip the commercials the rest of the way.
So you're saying you didn't watch the second set? Is that your way of saying that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're almost we're nearing the end of the review portion of this show, because the next thing we do is, if you remember at the beginning of last week when we were doing part 1 from April 14th of 90, Sting said he needed to make a special announcement. And Doc has been hinting at this all week with me, and it is time to hear Sting's special announcement. Let's go to JR and Jim Cornette to throw it to Sting.
That's one of the most appalling situations, and we went to black. When we went to black, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to show this here on TBS. These guys, the Freebirds, lashed the rock and roll with those leather belts.
Well, if you don't show it here on TBS, you're doing the whole world an injustice, but that's nothing new. The world is full of injustices. Well, let me tell you something. Justice was served in that match right there, because the Freebirds took that belt off that goof at ringside, and they went in the ring, and they laid it on the Rock and Roll Express. Did you hear the whap? Did you hear the lashes?
I heard it.
Did you see that skin peel up? Did you see those big, ugly red welts pop up on Ricky and Robert? I loved every second of it.
Well, fans, we'll talk more about that situation next week here on the program. But right now, as we said, we received, before we went on the air, a special videotape from Sting. No one has seen this as of yet. We're all going to see it together here in a few moments.
Been in a mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's porch since noon today. I'll tell you, it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take Albert Einstein to know what Sting's going to say. He's going to say, I quit. I give up. I don't want the Horseman to cripple me any further. I don't want to get my not only my career ended, but maybe my neck broke, and I'm going to stay away from professional wrestling for the rest of my life. That's what he's going to say. Go ahead, roll it, and see if I'm right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll the videotape. This came from Sting, and will he retire? We're going to find out. We're all waiting. We're going to see it, as I said, for the same...
I'll bet you some money.
Oh, you will?
Have you been in my wallet?
Fans,
I don't have it.
There's no wager here.
And
Let's see the videotape with Sting.
Horseman, you said you were going to take me out. You said I'd never wrestle again. But you made a big mistake when you started messing with the little stingers. So now the time has come. And Flair, if you think you're invincible...
Think it over, Creed.
So he's going to retire, huh? So he's not going to be around anymore. He's going to be at Capital Combat, and he's going to have RoboCop at his side.
What in the where does he get off thinking he can bring some kind of freak into professional wrestling? Is he a man? Is he a machine? Is he a what is he? What is he, half and half?
He's RoboCop.
A quarter and three? I don't know. I don't watch the movies. I don't go to movies. I can't go out in public. But I'll tell you this, Sting has no business, has no place bringing some creep, some creature, some monster like that anywhere around professional wrestling. That is malarkey, what that is.
Well, it's true, though, and he will be there, so the Horseman's threat or not.
No. The Horsemen, they're not going to be scared of some big pile of scrap metal standing 10 feet tall or however big the guy is. They're not going to be afraid. The Horsemen will still triumph because they're the elite in professional wrestling, and they're not going to be scared of some kind of freak. If it's a computer R2-D2, I don't know what the guy is, but the Horsemen will find out before Capital Combat.
So we find out now, ladies and gentlemen, that Sting will not retire. He will have RoboCop at his side at our next big pay-per-view spectacular. It's called Capital Combat, May 19th, Saturday night, May 19th, in the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C.
I cannot, man, a fine place to perpetrate some kind of scam like this in the nation's capital, a bastion of democracy, a place where honesty and integrity rules the entire city.
You're speaking of something you have no background on,
Washington,
honesty and
DC.
integrity.
Wait a minute. Washington, D.C., now I realize why they're bringing RoboCop there. Now I realize why they're ripping people off. It's Washington.
Fans, we'll talk more about this tomorrow night at 6:05 on the main event. For Jim Cornette, I'm Jim Ross. So long.
Sting's not retiring. He's going to be back at Capital Combat 90, the pay-per-view, which you can hear our review of that at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT on the Patreon feed. RoboCop will be there. JR really did make me laugh when he said, "You're speaking of something you know nothing about, honesty and integrity." Doc, what do you think I mean, we're going to talk more about RoboCop later, obviously, in the pay-per-view when we get there. But any thoughts here, man?
This is shit. I mean, he ain't here, but I can hear Harper going, man, this is poop, bruh.
So about RoboCop,
About RoboCop. I told you yesterday, I work from home and mother-in-law lives with us, and I walked through the room where she was watching TV the other day, and RoboCop was on TV. And I was like, because I knew we had to talk about this tonight.
The universe is telling you something. So about RoboCop, as you would know, I mean, most of our listeners, I think, know, Cornette hated that nonsense with RoboCop. And I would like to just send you all to his YouTube channel if you want to hear his multiple rants, detailed rants about the whole RoboCop thing and how it all came to be, played out, what happened at the pay-per-view. If you want to hear what Cornette has to say. And I've said it before, I don't think Cornette's right all the time, for sure. But on this issue, when you listen to what he says about RoboCop, man, I gotta agree. Like, it just made no sense. It was really stupid.
Here's the thing.
And we're gonna talk about RoboCop in detail at the pay-per-view.
But here's the thing.
Get too much about it now, but go ahead.
If you believe that Sting is the guy to push, and I can see how somebody might make that decision. I disagree with it, but I can see it. And you want to tie this shit in with the movie, and you think that's a good idea, I can see how somebody would go down that path. But this package looks like it was thrown together and doesn't explain anything and why they're together and why RoboCop's there. And this is bullshit. So if you're going to go down the path of this way, at least try to do it well.
Well, all they had to say was, okay, RoboCop, what does this mean for Sting? Like, what does this mean for Capital Combat? We know, so Sting's not retiring. He's going to be at Capital Combat 90, but what does that really mean?
I'm going to be there, and I'm going to have RoboCop watching my back.
Or just tease it. Like, we'll say what RoboCop's going to be doing late. They didn't really say, all they said was RoboCop would be there. They didn't really say, stay tuned to see what the hell RoboCop is there for. All we know is RoboCop and Sting, and it doesn't make much sense.
And if I'm Lex Luger watching that, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really say anything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll the video.
I didn't mean to hit play. It really doesn't say anything. It's just, I don't know. I guess was RoboCop a PG movie? That's the other thing.
I don't know.
Because Turner keeps, there's so many damn mandates. Boy, look at that face JR's making right there in that screenshot. You see that, Doc?
Let me kiss that butthole.
That was completely by accident. Okay, RoboCop. Let me see what it was rated.
It came out in 87.
I knew that much. This is the second RoboCop by the time 90 rolls around. Does it even say the rating? I don't see the rating. Let me just ask, what was RoboCop rated? Apologize for doing this on the fly, but I'm just genuinely curious. It was rated R. So this is the original RoboCop was rated R. RoboCop 2
I like one of the songs on the soundtrack.
So RoboCop 2, which is the one this is plugged in.
They had a song. There was a glam metal band, Babylon AD. They had a song called "Kid Goes Wild." That was a RoboCop was in the video.
What do you think RoboCop 2 was rated? I told you the first one was rated R. What do you think 2 was rated?
PG-13.
It was rated R. So, which really throws confusion at me because we're plugging a movie that's rated R, but we can't even put a trickle of blood on our pay-per-views now or do things too risque. for fear of offending our little children who watch this. This is peak, what the hell are we doing? Bull crap.
We don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it.
And when I say peak, we don't know what the hell we're doing. It's peak inconsistency. We don't want blood. We don't want too much violence. But hey, let's strike a deal with RoboCop 2 rated R. And if you've ever seen it, it's pretty damn violent. But I digress. Okay. Yeah, I got nothing else. That's how the episode ends. As JR is looking like he's about to... Boy, if you're a patron, you got to watch the Patreon video as we got to the end of this and see JR's lips as he...
That's the circle from circle, dot.
Let me hit play. All right. I couldn't find that screenshot again if I wanted to. So what are we doing here, Doc? I know we semi-rated last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do
I
we
feel
want
like we
to
need to rate just the second half and then divvy out a Rolex.
Oh, if I'm gonna rate just the second half, I'll give it a B plus. And the only reason I'm not giving it higher is because I think the RoboCop thing's dumb. But again, we'll litigate that when we do the pay-per-view. This was a good show. I almost gave it A minus. The match with Lane and Z-Man was good. Cornette interview with Flair and Woman and what went down there. The commercial with that stupid blender thing was tremendous. RockNRoll Express versus Freebirds, pretty good, And then that commercial, yeah, B plus. What are you giving it?
I'm gonna go the other way and say a B, bordering on a B minus.
Okay, I mean it's close.
Yeah, so we're close, but we're veering in opposite directions.
So we need to give out the Rolex. I do want to remind folks to use our Amazon Associates link at tinyurl.com/BTTAmazon. A great way to support the show. If you're already shopping on Amazon, when you use that link, the show gets some support in return from Amazon. So please use it. Again, it's tinyurl.com/BTTAmazon. Give that link to the wives, girlfriends, side pieces, whatever you have in your life. Tell them to use it. Give it to family members. Send it to them in text and say, hey, if you're shopping on Amazon, please use this link. My favorite podcast gets a little bit of support in return. It ain't much, but when you're a mud show operation like us, that
every dollar counts.
Everything counts, especially when you're constantly replacing headsets.
Jesus
even though
Christ.
His girlfriend bought him.
Yeah, but that ain't the last one.
Oh no, they'll be
the real over and under is does that headset that she bought see 2022 in working order?
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say, what odds do we want to give it to make it out of 2022 with that headset that she just bought? I mean, Doc, we've only got a few months left.
We need to call Half Pint in. He's the odds maker here.
Boy, is he. He was quoting odds.
He's got a mouth on him.
Is that a compliment?
I don't know.
Y'all seem to get along good.
Did we?
Yeah, I like the little fella. He trips me out. He needs to look. I don't want to tell anybody how to run their social media accounts, but he needs to kind of like take a soma and just relax sometimes because he gets.
So he's balls out. He's balls
out. Oh my God, he look. Here's my thing. I want to make this statement talking about social media. I don't believe in censoring anybody. So. Guys who have been on this show, including Harper, Half Pint, Sparks, whoever, Lance, their social media is their social media. Silva, whatever. Tweet what you want. It's your life. I don't care. But if it's coming from their personal Twitter, that's their thoughts. That doesn't necessarily speak for BTT.
The views of the Goon Squad do not reflect the BTT.
Exactly. And hey, that's not me saying I agree or disagree. But with Half Pint recently went after one of the quote-unquote wrestling journalists in this world. I don't want to say who it is because I'll tell you off air. He went at him. And I'm like, I saw the tweet and I'm like, oh God, Half Pint, just drink some whiskey, take a soma, and you'll be all right. But I say that jokingly. I like the little fella. He's 4'2", I think, and he's a
little fella. Hold the microphone high.
Literally, from Sopranos, good kid. That's what I think about the little fella. He's a good kid. You know what I'm saying? Good kid.
He came in with a lot of overconfidence in both his approach and his picks, I will have to say. He picked his team to win the Super Bowl.
Well, you've done that. You went 16-0 Super Bowl suck it. Isn't that the same thing?
No. I didn't do that.
Well, don't say who you picked, because
and all the listeners need to understand when my tongue is in my cheek and when it's not.
By the way, you just gave away who he picked as a Super Bowl winner. But then again, we didn't give away the rest of the picks, nor your pick on who wins the Super Bowl.
Well, but that show will have aired, hadn't it? I mean, the first game of the season's happening right now.
Yeah, I'm saying it's only for patrons though.
Well, that's not I mean, my picks are the ones that count.
Okay. No, I actually enjoyed the football show. I thought it was great. I love sometimes just kicking back and listening to shows like that. It's fun to just be a producer. Let me put it like that. Okay. What were you about to say now?
I can certainly see you in that producer's chair for sure.
Well, we need to also give out the Rolex. I did want to remind you, again, we were talking about the NFL football preview. You can get that at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That's tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Become a patron. We are a mud show operation. We're not one of the big names. The way this show keeps going is by your support. So if you listen for free and enjoy it, consider that Patreon link. It's very inexpensive, and we do kick out as much as we can, as humanly possible, on that feed. So thank you if you are a patron. If you're not, consider becoming one at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. The link is also in the show description. Okay, Doc, I went first with the rating. We're Rolexing. Are we Rolexing only part 2, or can we take what was in part 1?
I don't care. I'm giving it to Rick for pulling woman in front of him.
Rick gets it, but still honorable mention to Teddy Long from last week.
I can 100% support that.
Because Teddy was phenomenal.
He was. He was the bright spot by a mile of last week's show.
Tremendous.
But do you understand? I mean, you do, but just the shitty chicken shit heel to pull a female in front of you with Lex Luger on the advance.
That was criminal. I mean, that was a criminal maneuver. Criminal. Because you're hiding behind the term they used to give it, and I'm sure somebody gets offended by this now. The term they used to say is you're hiding behind a skirt.
Oh yeah.
They used to,
I like to hide in the skirt, but that's a different story.
They used to be the term, you hide behind a skirt. Now I got a feeling if you
remember that ECW where
yes,
Ben pulled the Sandman's kid in front of him, and he had the barbed wire stuck in his hair, so he had Sandman's 10-year-old in front of him in one hand and barbed wire in his hair in the other.
Bro, ECW did some. That's the one thing about that was so great, man. Because the stuff they did when they did stuff like that, it made your eyes open and you're like, holy crap. Or like when the pit bull had the neck brace on.
That was too far.
Oh my God! But it made you stop and go, oh wow, is my point. But it was like, holy crap, I can't believe they did that. But they did a lot of shit like that. Okay, Doc, do we have anything else we got to get to on this edition of our show?
No, I think we've done, we need to save our voices because we're probably not going to have Harper next week either. So I think, we need to just make sure that we take care of ourselves. We need to practice. What do those bitches call it? Self-care. That's what we need.
In all seriousness, he's fine. I need to repeat. It's just that I just don't know when he's going to be able to.
You're at the mercy of the grid.
It's not just that. There was a lot of wind damage when he left his home. I don't think he was able to survey such things, and he's probably got a lot of work related to cleanup and fixing some things and getting stuff squared away. So it is a lot more than just electricity. Because, I mean, he's at a home, or he was at a home with a generator. Again, he's not staying there full time, I don't think. So it's hard to say, man. There's a lot more to a hurricane than just the electricity. So we'll see. But he'll be back. He hasn't gone anywhere. But the main thing is we wanted to let you know when you don't hear him, If it's 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, that's why. I mean, it's just not feasible. But Harper will be back. And Doc, please put a note in your phone or somewhere. We gotta talk about that blender bull crap when Harper returns. I gotta play that for him.
I think we need to talk about it with his girl.
The blender?
Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing she might like.
Dude, she's hilarious. When you hear her talk, you're like, oh yeah, this is Harper's type.
So it sounds like female Harper?
I didn't think it like that, but since you gave that term, yes. And yeah, 100%. They're two peas in a pod.
So it's possible that she broke the headset and they didn't want to cop to it.
I don't think that. No. I would say that if this was only the second headset, but seeing that it's the sixth, I'm going to go out on and because the four to five previously were broken before she was around, I'm going to go with Harper broke the damn headset.
Right, that's probably true.
Yeah. You got to play the odds, like the little fella Half Pint said. Okay, so let me stop the video version. Oh, go ahead. What were you about to say?
The little fella. That's nice.
Nothing but love, Half Pint. He knows that. Real quick, before we get out of here, I want to mention our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn, the northern version of BTT, slightly classier, a little bit more professional, but still fun nonetheless. They take care of us, so please take care of them and give them a listen. Good stuff from Joe and Quinn, and like I said, superb audio and very, very professional. And also check out the Bottom Line Cast with Mike Prue and JV. They handle our ECW show on our Patreon feed, and you can check them out as well on their show, which is a podcast on the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin and whatnot. And don't forget, become a patron. We're struggling these days. tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT.
We're struggling.
No, I'm joking when I say that. We're not struggling. But it is always great to have more patrons because it gives us a reason to keep going. I mean, I ain't begging Jaworski.
Swinging from the beam in the attic with the Von Erich thing in play.
That's nice. I'm not begging Jaworski, even though he ups his patronage all the time, but he doesn't tell people that when he likes to punch at me on social media because he can't do anything.
Well, it probably comes out of his lotion fund. Probably.
But anyway, Jaworski, he says we beg. No, we're not begging. We're just saying keep the show like it is.
Here's the bottom line facts. If we didn't have patrons, this show would be off the air because we put up with enough horse shit from the significant others to do this. If we were dipping in our own pocket, it would go away quick.
Pretty much.
There you go. This thing, when we say listener supported, that's a shoot. It doesn't cost a shit pile of money to keep this thing afloat, but it costs some.
It does. I mean, there's a series of bills I pay every month related to this show. Now, is it thousands of dollars? No. But that's why your patronage matters. So, I mean, I can't state that enough. It costs money. It literally costs money to keep the show on air. Between Skype, between the podcast feed. There's numerous bills.
Headsets.
The numerous headsets. Don't get me started.
Those things went up after everybody worked from home.
They sure the hell did. I forgot one thing. Chris Zaha, I did forget to mention. I know you bumped up your pledge. You've been a Hall of Fame patron. Chris Zaha, Chris Zoncha, Chris Zauha, whatever Harper's feeling. Wonderful fella. I love that guy. More people in the world need to be like him. Never works himself into a shoot. Has fun on social media, but never works himself to a shoot. Be more like Chris Zaha, and the world would be a much better place. Right, Travis Reigns? Because Travis likes to call Chris Tubby, even though he's not really chubby or not. But Chris is one of my favorite fellas out there. All right, Doc, anything else from you before we, what's the Kawasaki Mule? I don't even know anymore. What is that?
I've had this on. I've recorded it. So now I'm going to go back and restart it so that I can sit here and watch this game. All right? I'm ready to go.
Go Cowboys? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Well, we are an hour into the game at this point, and I wonder if the Cowboys are losing.
We're deep into. Well, let me see. No, we're not deep. We're into the second quarter. and I'm happy. How about that?
How's Dak's ankle looking so far?
Sturdy, strong. He's got 2 of them, and they both look great.
Okay. All right, man. Well, Doc, it's just you and I. Yeah, hit the tagline, and we can get out of here.
Well, then book it, bitch.